Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Words of Wisdom. And I'm really excited about today's episode because this is one that I've dived into a lot, and I believe it has completely changed my life, and it's something I know will change yours too. What I'm talking about today is abundance and how to attract it, how to live it, and how to become like a magnet for every area of your life. And I think I've read every book that there is about it. And when I say abundance, I don't just mean money, although like obviously financial freedom is absolutely part of it, but I mean a state of being where you feel expanded, where you feel free, where you feel supported, but you also feel aligned. And it's waking up every day knowing that you're taken care of, that opportunities are everywhere, that you're living, from trust rather than from fear, that you're not chasing, you're attracting, because here's the truth: abundance isn't something you get, it's something you become. And today I'm going to show you how to. Hey, welcome to Wow Words of Wisdom. This is the podcast where we talk about all things mindset, all things confidence, and taking action, even when it feels scary. I'm Sharon McCaffrey, and if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this: your mindset shapes everything. The way you think, the way you show up, the way you go after what you really want, and it all starts in your head. So if you've ever felt stuck, doubted yourself, or wondered if you're really capable of more, you're in the right place. Each week, let's break through those mental blocks, shift your perspective, and start making things happen. So firstly, I want you to understand abundance. And I think it's important that we start here, because if you don't understand what abundance actually is, you'll keep looking for it in the wrong places. Abundance, it's not a number in your bank account. It's not the car that you drive, even though I, really want a G-Wagon, or the followers you had. Those things can reflect abundance, but they're not the source of it. Abundance starts as an energy. It's a vibration that comes from trust, it comes from gratitude, but it also comes from alignment. Scarcity says that there's not enough. Abundance says there's always more. Scarcity closes, whereas abundance expands. And the moment you shift your internal state from fear to faith, so believing, and shift it from doubt to possibility, that's when things start moving. And it's that thing that I talk about, like Ron say, I can't afford it. Ask yourself, how can I afford it? And you will notice that your energy starts to shift. You start to think about possibilities as opposed to limitations. And you want to think of energy like a magnet. You're always attracting. But what you attract depends on what you're actually broadcasting. So if your energy is full of worry, full of comparison and self-doubt, you're going to attract more of that. But if your energy is grounded, if you're grateful and you're open to receiving, you're going to attract ease, opportunity, and flow. So it's not magic. You attract what you are. I want to go a little bit deeper on this. And I was talking about this actually today because I've been listening a lot to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he talks about how you create your own reality. And I think that is one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you control every single event, but it does mean you create the meaning behind it. You decide how to perceive it, how to respond to it, and what it teaches you. And your perception, that's where your power lies. And I'm going to give you a bit of an example. Like years ago, like when I was in debt, I could have chosen to see that all as failure. I could have seen myself as a victim of bad choices or bad luck. But instead, I decided this is my turning point. I said to myself, I'm not stuck. I'm being redirected. I'm going to learn everything I can from this. And that shift in perspective changed everything, because what you believe, you build. In those situations now, and when I'm being challenged the most, I always ask myself, what is this teaching me? So if you believe life is hard, well, guess what? It will be. And if you believe money is scarce, it's going to hide from you. If you believe you're not enough, you'll constantly attract situations that prove it. But if you believe you're worthy, if you believe you're capable and supported, the universe rearranges itself to meet you at that frequency. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. So the question becomes, what story are you telling yourself every day? And that brings me on to the next point, which is gratitude. And, gratitude, it is the gateway to abundance. And I was talking to somebody earlier on, about this. And I remember years and years ago, reading all the stuff about like, and there'll be probably some of you listening to me here today would be thinking the same, but like, how can gratitude like get me so much more? Like, I find it hard to comprehend how, the two were going to connect. So what I used to do was I would do maybe, you hear all these things, have a gratitude diary and stuff like that. And I remember buying a little diary and I'd start gratitude and do it for a week, nothing would change. And then I'd stop doing it. Then maybe a few months later, I'd pick it back up again. And then I made a promise one year that I was going to do it for a month, like religiously. And I'd done it for a whole month. And even though like I wasn't suddenly like, a billionaire or anything like that there, or the G Wagon wasn't sitting on the drive, but something had shifted inside of me. And that shift was that I had a better perspective and I was more grateful for what I had in opposed to always looking for something else. And I know it sounds like, like very cliched, but like I really do believe gratitude is everything. It's the fastest way to shift into abundance because you get perspective and you can't be in lack and grateful at the same time. Gratitude immediately reprograms your nervous system from fear to safety. Every morning before I check my phone or before I open my laptop or do anything, I take a moment to list out three things that I'm grateful for. And I always say like three, and I do it again at the end of the night. But a lot of the time it actually ends up being more. And even sometimes it's just the fact that I get to go to the gym. I have the health and the fitness that I can do that. And that makes me feel good. And you will feel it. It's not just things like, oh, I'm grateful for, my morning coffee, but like I'm grateful for the warmth that I can feel in my hands from holding that mug of coffee. I'm grateful for the quiet moments that I have before the morning, before the day wakes up. I'm grateful that I get, that I'm alive today and that I get another chance to make today better because there's lots of people that don't. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel good. It anchors you. It reminds you that you already have so much. I think for so many of us, we're always chasing, and that makes us feel that we're not complete. Whereas gratitude will make you feel complete, it makes you feel whole. And when you live in that vibration, the universe says she's ready for more. And here's the practice like I love, like every night before bed, as I said earlier on, write down three things that went right today. And they don't have to be huge. And there's some days you're going to have to dig very, very deep, but you're reprogramming your brain. Maybe it was that somebody smiled at you. Maybe you got through a hard workout. Maybe you made yourself a healthy meal. Whatever it is, just celebrate it because gratitude will turn ordinary moments into like little miracles. And then the next thing, I talk a lot about this, and in the upcoming workshop I'm going to talk a lot about it too, is like your identity. So now you need to become the abundant version of you. And I really do believe when it comes to identity, this is where the deep transformation really happens. You can't attract abundance while identifying as someone who's not enough or who's not ready or not capable. And abundance requires alignment because between what you want and who you believe you are. So ask yourself, who is the most abundant version of me? What does that person look like? What does she believe about money? What does she love? What does she believe like about success? How does she speak to herself? What does she tolerate? What are her boundaries and what will she no longer allow? When I started my business, I was terrified. I had no clue what I was doing, but I kept, saying to myself, what would the 7-figure version of me do right now? Would she procrastinate? Would she say yes to things that drain her? Would she second guess every post she wrote? No. She'd show up with confidence, she'd set boundaries, she'd lead. And so I started acting like her before she actually existed. And that's how she came to life. So you can't wait until you feel abundant to act abundant. So many people are like, oh, I'll wait until I'm ready, and then I'll wait until this, I'll wait until that. You have to become her first, and then your external world will rise to meet that frequency. And then I want to talk about energy in your nervous system. I want to briefly touch on this. I know I've ran lots of podcasts and stuff and covered lots of stuff on the nervous system, but it is really a big one because you cannot attract abundance from a dysregulated state. If your nervous system is constantly in fight or flight, or if it's worrying about money, or it's overthinking, or it's hustling from fear, your body doesn't feel safe to receive. Abundance requires safety. Your body needs to feel grounded. It needs to feel calm and regulated so that it can hold more. And that's why I talk so much about the nervous system work, about doing it. It's not just all this wellness fluff. I believe it's the foundation of manifestation and attracting abundance into your life. And I know I've mentioned this lots of times, but just as a little reminder, the daily things that I do to regulate my energy, is grounding. I will always make an effort to stand in grass or on earth or something in silence just for a few minutes barefoot, every morning. And I'll try to do it at the end of the evening as well, just to connect to the earth. I always aim to do breath work at least once a day, only for a few minutes, just slow, deep, intentional breathing that calms my system down. Movement, whether that's Pilates, whether it's a gym workout, whether it's going for, a walk in nature, just to move that stuck emotion like through my body. Hydration, always staying hydrated, good proper water, getting plenty of electrolytes into my system, because dehydration literally heightens your stress. And then the other thing I'm very mindful of are boundaries, protecting my space from people or energy that deplete me. And when your body feels safe, your mind stops chasing and your energy becomes magnetic. So remember, calm is not a lack of ambition. Calm is actually confidence. And then I want you to think about, giving back and being kind. Like every day, one of the things I write down in my journal, every day is what was one good deed, I done. The other day, it was I helped a little old lady, like up the steps, into an hotel. She had a little bit like of a Zimmer frame or whatever. So every day I'm intentional about making sure that I do at least one good deed. And this is a principle that often gets overlooked when we're talking about like abundance. Because remember, abundance expands through circulation. So, money, love, energy, they're all meant to flow. And when you give freely, whether that's your time, whether that's your wisdom, maybe your kindness or your resources, you signal to the universe that you have more than enough. And when you believe you have enough, you create more of it. And that doesn't mean giving to depletion or being a people pleaser. It means giving from overflow. And I make it a rule, like as I said, to always give back in some way. Like for me, these podcasts, I don't financially benefit or anything from it. It's my way of giving back the stuff that I've learned over the years. If this just helps one person, then for me, that's a win. So whether it's, mentoring, whether it's, for some people it'll be donating money or even just being kind to the person in front of you. Because when you give, you're not actually losing, you're creating space for more to come in, and abundance grows through generosity. The next thing then you want is perspective and choice. And, and here's the truth that I live by. You can't control what happens, but you can control what it means and you can control how you respond to it. And I really do believe perspective is everything. Two people can experience the same setback. One sees it as failure, the other sees it as feedback. I always talk about like the snow, like when it snows in Ireland, the whole country shuts down, but in other countries, people go skiing. It's still the same snow. One closes down, the other one grows. So when something goes wrong, and it will, pause, and ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What opportunity is hidden here? Because that's where your freedom lies, because it isn't the universe or anything punishing you. It's positioning you. And I always say when you're being stretched, you're being strengthened. Abundance isn't about having everything perfect. It's about seeing perfection within everything, even in the chaos, even in the mess. Your perspective determines your peace. And I know manifestation gets thrown around so much that people forget that it's not just like visualizing. It's, what's really important about manifesting, it's the energy. So it's energetic, it's alignment plus action. It's seeing your desire clearly, believing it's already yours and taking aligned steps towards it. And here's how to, manifest that abundance intentionally. So get clear, be specific about what you want, write it down. Don't be vague. You want a new car, like be specific about what that car is. Maybe that's it, you want to be financially free. But that becomes I earn 10 grand a month doing work that lights me up. And then you want to visualize it, spend time each day seeing it, feeling it, which is so, so important to feel it, embodying it. What does it feel like to live that reality? That's why when you test drive a new car, you get that feeling. That's why people buy a car after the test drove it, because they get that feeling. So they're not just visualizing it on a page. Take inspired action. The universe meets you halfway. You move, it moves. And then detach from how it comes. I think we far too often get caught up in the how, but how is this going to happen? And if you think back in your life, some of the things that have happened to your life to bring you to where you are now, you would have never being able to visualize the how would that have come about. So stay open to the how. Sometimes abundance arrives through opportunities you didn't even imagine. The last thing is you want to trust the timing. What's meant for you can't miss you. I always say what's meant for you will never pass you by, but it will wait until you're ready to receive it. And remember, manifestation isn't about control. It's about that co-creation, which brings me to that next part, which is the detachment and the trust, which can be, hard, but this one is vital. You can't receive what you're clinging to. So when you hold on too tightly, whether that's to a person, to a plan, to a specific number, you actually create resistance. Detachment doesn't mean that you're not caring. It just means that you're trusting. You're trusting the universe. It's saying, I've done my part and I trust the rest will unfold exactly as it's meant to. It's like almost like placing an order. Like if you place an order on Amazon, you don't keep checking every 5 minutes to see that it's coming. You place the order, you trust that Amazon's going to do its thing and then it's going to arrive, because the more you relax, the faster it will flow. The tighter you grip, the more it's going to slip. And the universe doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to confidence. So breathe and let go. You are being guided even when you can't see the path. And then you want to live in alignment. You can't fake abundance energy if your actions contradict your truth. So alignment means your words, your energy and behavior are all walking in the same direction. I always make a conscious effort never to use the word hate. I will never say, oh, I hate doing that or I hate doing this. I may dislike stuff, but I will refuse from using the word hate, because I know it's an energy that is not aligned with abundance. So if you say you want peace but keep entertaining chaos, that's not alignment. If you say you want success but you're scared to be seen, that's not alignment. Abundance is magnetic when you are in integrity with yourself. So check in regularly. Does this relationship align with who I want to become? Does this job reflect my values? Am I showing up with the same energy I want to attract? What are the words that I'm using? Because every no to misalignment creates space for yes that's meant for you. And then some daily habits and practices for abundance. And, this is where it becomes like practical and the actions that you need to take, because it's not, just mindset. It's about the lifestyle and stuff too. So here's some little things that you can do daily that will help. And I've talked about it already, the morning gratitude ritual. Before I do anything else, that's one of the first things I do. Movement, whether that's yoga, Pilates, just going for a walk, gym, whatever. It's not punishment. It's an actual celebration of the fact that you're able to do it. Journaling, that's clearing your mental clutter and you're setting your intentions for the day. Get clear with the reality you want to create that day. Visualize, see the life that that you want in the future. Boundaries, saying no when something doesn't feel aligned. Are you learning? I always say you feed your body every day. You need to feed your mind. So what books, podcasts are you listening to? You're reading, what people are you hanging out with that inspire you? Are you getting rest? Because abundance requires energy. It's important that you're not exhausted. So make sure you're getting proper sleep. And then connection, surrounding yourself with people who expand you, not drain you. Consistency in these small actions build a foundation for abundance to flow naturally. And then remember, abundance is something that you want to embody daily. It isn't something that you just visit and then you leave. It's in the way you speak to yourself, the way you show up, the energy you bring into a room. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, calm over chaos, generosity over fear, you step deeper into abundance. And this is where the self-awareness is really important, because you have to catch yourself, because sometimes I will find myself going down that little negative rabbit hole. So I have to catch myself and bring myself back to alignment. So, you're teaching the universe that you're ready to hold more. So here's your reminder, you are already abundant. You just need to start seeing yourself that way. So just a few closing thoughts. Abundance isn't about chasing or striving. It's about allowing. It's about living from a place of trust, gratitude and worthiness. The moment you start embodying that energy, everything starts to shift. You start attracting people, you start attracting opportunities and experiences that match the vibration of who you're becoming. And remember, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So today, choose to be her, the abundant version of you who trusts, who gives, who shines, who knows she's worthy of everything she dreams of. Because abundance isn't in the future, it's here, it's now, and it's waiting for you to claim it. So if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend or someone you love. Tag me on Instagram and let me know your biggest takeaway, because I love seeing what hits home for you. And remember, you are powerful, you are worthy, and you are already abundant.